She's a doctor.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dovec, and she's a dietitian.
Hey, I'm Hannah Schuyler, and together we are the Weight Loss Collab.
Welcome back. We are going to do a topic that I want to just start with this. If you're like, I don't know, fiber, kind of boring. I don't even want to be engaged. Listen, fiber, she is that girl. I am stealing Hannah's line on this. This really truly might be the most underrated missing nutrient from your weight loss plan. And Hannah is going to really give us the deep dive into fiber that you didn't even know that you needed. So, Hannah, let's talk fiber, fiber, and more fiber.
Fiber, fiber, and more fiber. Yes, fiber is, I don't want to say it, but I kind of do. Like, she's the new protein. And I think that it's really not fair. I mean, these are obviously nutrients. So pitting them one against each other, like, truly doesn't make sense because they're both really important. But I think that in the last few years, protein obviously has been like top of market. It's been in all the products. Everything you see now has like added protein in it. And I don't know if it's just that the saturation finally occurred that you can't add protein to anything else. And so now the food companies are looking to um pivot and make money in a different way. So now fiber has become from marketing a bigger thing, but I think it's in a good way. I mean, food trends, there's always food trends, it's always cyclical and things. I mean, think back, gosh, what, a decade ago, it was Brussels sprouts were like the vegetable of the moment. So there's always something. And so right now, I do think it's fiber and I think it's a good thing. Um, yeah.
I think it is too. And you've been saying this for a long time. Now the rest of the world is catching up to you, are cutting edge nutrition expert here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dietitians are just always ahead of the curve when it comes to nutrition. But it's kind of that thing that I think it's like so boring to think about that, yes, dietitians have been telling you for years to get enough fiber, but now because it's become trendy, it's like cool to talk about it. It's like, well, all right, you could have just listened to us this whole time.
I know, I know. Well, let's go in and
Yeah.
let's break down fiber. We're gonna do the who, what, when, where, how of everything you need to know,
Mhm.
rapid fire. So just brace yourselves for this episode, you guys, because we're starting off with what actually is fiber? Like, what is
What
fiber?
is fiber? So fiber is dun 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 a type of carbohydrate, which I think that is part of the reason too for bariatric patients and for weight loss and all of these things. Like we're so often, and we recommend it too. Like we recommend cutting back the carbohydrates in the diet. Well, fiber is a type of carbohydrate. It's always going to come from plants. So one of the funny to me, because I think these things are funny, is like you'll see a thing and it's like plant-based fiber, like fiber from plants, like as if all fiber doesn't come from plants. It's just one of those silly marketing things, but it makes me laugh. So it's going to be found in our foods that contain carbohydrates. And essentially, it's kind of like an indigestible type of carb. So it's going to really transit through your body without being absorbed, without really being utilized like a different type of carbohydrate like sugar would be. You don't really get energy from it. And so it is beneficial in that sense from like a caloric and energy standpoint of not providing that extra calories necessarily as like another type of carb would. And then it has all these other great benefits that we're going to talk about when it comes to our heart health, our blood sugar management, our satiety, weight loss, gut regularity is always kind of the big one that people think of when it comes to fiber. But it all just really benefits from it.
I know it does a lot of things. I think when people hear fiber, they instantly think about helping with constipation
With
and just
pooping. Yeah.
pooping and gut health and all of that sort of thing. And so I think people think Metamucil, beta fiber,
Hmm.
and so I want to expand just our knowledge beyond just these powdered supplements. And like you said, okay, interesting. It is dun 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 a carb. So
Yeah.
like where can we find it? What are the best foods and how do we get creative so that it really helps us hopefully be regular? That's
Mhm.
always a good thing,
Yeah.
but also to lose weight and feel fuller with, less amounts of food.
Right. So from a food perspective, so first of all, to talk about the supplements, just start there. Those are fine to incorporate in your diet. And I do think, especially when we're talking about somebody who is new post-bariatric, maybe starting on a GLP-1, somewhere in that weight loss journey where they're getting some outside source like medical or intervention. I think that those can be really helpful for a lot of people because your intake is so low. It's just hard to kind of meet your goals realistically from food. And
Mhm.
what are those goals? So that's another good thing to point out. So for women, generally it's recommended about 25 grams of fiber a day. And for men, it's 31, 36. I always forget that number and I should look it up. But anyway, for men, it's higher. And that's because it's really measured on a per calorie basis. So it's about 12 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories in your diet is the goal. So for
Okay.
women, aiming for that about 2,000 calories a day on average would be about 24, 25 grams of fiber. So that's kind of where that recommendation. So when we cut the calories back, we generally expect to see a decrease in that fiber intake because it's on that kind of per calorie basis. So that's where you have to be really intentional with it in adding it into the diet. And so how do we do that beyond, like you said, kind of the supplementation of it? Are a couple categories. Obviously, we're not going to get it from our protein foods. We're not going to get it from meat. We're not going to get it from seafood. We're not going to get it from dairy products. So, like, don't like those are important, but you're not going to get fiber from them. One of the top places you can get it is from like seeds. So like chia seeds are really popular, I would say, that you can get. And 2 tablespoons of those has about 8 grams of fiber in it, which is incredible. I mean, like for a woman, that's like a third of your day's fiber in just like
Wow.
2 tablespoons of something. And so that's an easy one that you can add in. Fruit is going to be another great place that we get fiber. So things like berries, raspberries, and blueberries and blackberries, especially, are going to be like really concentrated sources of fiber. Pears, apples, kiwi. And then our non-starchy vegetables. This is another really common thing with fiber is people are like, well, I eat a salad, with my meal, and like, well, sorry, I hate to break it to you. That lettuce probably has like half a gram of fiber in it. Like it's very low. What we think of being these like great sources, a lot of times aren't, like our leafy greens. That's not to say don't eat them and don't, and especially if you can get a decent volume of them, then it adds up, but it's not a huge one. Carrots are a decent one though, I would say. Like I like to eat baby carrots with meals. I think it's a really easy side or like with some hummus or something. Which hummus brings me into like maybe my favorite category of fiber foods, which is beans and lentils. So black beans, white beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, lentils, all these things, about half of their carbohydrate comes from fiber. And so when you're looking at something that has, maybe 15 grams of carbs per serving, a lot of times like 8 grams of that is going to be fiber. So that's huge. If you can add in a serving of that a day, I think it'd be really helpful.
Do you feel like this whole soluble versus insoluble fiber? I know hopefully you're still with us, you're not falling asleep, but do you feel like the type of fiber matters in that regard, maybe for weight loss? That's what we really care about here.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, so like the insoluble fiber it's not going to dissolve in water. It's insoluble, so it doesn't dissolve in the water. That's going to be the thing that really helps with the stool. So adding bulk to the stool, moving through the GI tract, really dragging things down, and pulling things through. The soluble fiber dissolves in water. And that's going to be where we lower cholesterol, but that's also going to be where we really help with those blood glucose levels, which,
Mm.
sometimes we see, and we're seeing probably more and more research on of like keeping blood sugar management a little bit top of mind when it comes to weight loss, not just for diabetics, but for everybody, and keeping our insulin levels more regulated. So I would say that it's both. And fortunately, when we look at foods that are high in fiber, most of them have both in it. So they're a combination of soluble and insoluble. Ones that are going to be high, for instance, in one versus the other. So like I mentioned, chia seeds or pears, those are or almonds, nuts are another good source. Those are going to be higher in the insoluble fiber. Things like apples, green peas, wheat bran, those are going to be more soluble fiber. And then things that are going to fall right in the middle are going to be like those berries, oatmeal, some of our like our sweet potato, some of our whole grains, edamame. So some of those other ones that are going to kind of fall that have a more even distribution of both. But even the ones that, like I said, like chia seeds that are more insoluble, they still have a little bit of soluble fiber in them. So it's going to be both.
I
So,
mean, I think it's great. Yeah, it's so beneficial to the gut microbiome, which is also a hugely popular topic right now,
mhm.
and it brings us always back to poop. Constipation happens when you're on the diet, like you said, protein has been it. It's always been about protein, high protein, low carb, little to no added sugar. That's the high level overview of what we all recommend, whether you've had bariatric surgery or you're on a GLP-1 medication. Now, these two phenomenons, surgery and meds, they both induce constipation,
Mhm.
especially after surgery. You might not be drinking enough fluids. So, cheers. You want to always kind of start that regard, drinking more fluids, getting things going that way. But what do you think about that early post-op period when sometimes people describe, like, I have so much pelvic fullness. I had surgery a week ago. I have not had a first bowel movement yet. Should I try some of these things like the apples and oatmeal and berries and things like that to try to add more fiber to get this stool ball out of my rectal vault?
No, I don't think that's the time to be doing it because like I said, it's going to add bulk to the stool. And so you don't want to be adding more bulk to that. Like that to me, if you're that bad, it's medical intervention at that point. Wouldn't
Mhm.
you agree? Like, let's get that
Absolutely,
out of
yeah.
there. Let's do if we need to do an enema or something like that, like get that cleared out. Um, because your gut just went through something completely different too.
Yeah.
So I think that's a unique time. And there are some disease states just to point out that a low fiber diet is the indication of treatment. So if your doctor ever tells you like, hey, you need to be on a low fiber diet, listen to them.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it does really control how things are moving through.
mhm.
And then the GLP-1, speaking of that, as we know, part of the magic on how they're working is they're slowing down the transit. It slows gastric emptying. So, yes, things up top, you could get some regurgitation, some reflux, but also just slows down the GI tract, gastrointestinal
Mhm.
tract in general. And so, you're not going to eat as much when you do eat. We're wanting you to get your protein. And then
Mhm.
that is by default going to really just inadvertently be a low fiber diet. So I
Yeah.
do think that this is such an important part of the conversation that you try to increase your fiber in any way, shape, and form that you can while you're doing these other methods. Once you're, post-op and you're on this GLP-1 and you're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, that does bring it to another point of when you are doing this. So a couple things. One, I think when you're starting to try to add fiber and you do have to be really intentional with it. This is
Yeah.
not something that's just going to occur because you're willing it to. You have to like seek these foods out. You have to track your diet probably really to get a realistic expectation. Something figures I've heard is between 90 to 95% of people are not meeting fiber needs in the United
Mm.
States or so like you're low. Regardless if you've had surgery, you haven't had surgery, you're not on GLP-1, anybody, you and I probably aren't getting enough fiber in our diet. Like, it's just something that you really do have to like incorporate these very high sources every single day and regularly. But what that also means is like fiber maxing. Like, I don't know if you've heard that term.
No.
Oh gosh, you're not as chronically online as I am. Um, so
I get targeted by other things. We'll
other
just keep it at
things.
that.
Yeah. So fiber maxing is like this idea of just like super getting I'm like, okay, let's just call it like meeting your needs. Like let's start with getting enough like adequate fiber, but that's not doesn't adequate fiber does not sound as cool as fiber maxing. So, but if you are getting like 5 grams a day, for instance, please don't aim for 25 tomorrow. You are
Mm.
going to cause GI problems. You are gonna feel bloated. You're gonna either poop your pants or not poop for a week. Like, because the thing with fiber is like it helps with constipation, but it also helps with diarrhea. So it just helps with either one. So like don't jump up, and then also really slowly increase, add a couple grams, do that for a few days. Like if you're getting 5, aim for 8 and do that for a little while, and then aim for 10 or 11, and then go from there until you're kind of regularly hitting that need. And then also with
Mhm.
that, you do really need to increase your fluid intake as you do it, because it's gonna like all of the it's gonna pull that through. And so sometimes too, what we see is like you increase your fiber and you end up constipated, and you're like, I thought this was supposed to help with that. And it's just
Mhm.
because it's created this really dry, hard bulk in your system and you can't pass it.
Yeah, I mean that's it. And then plus after bariatric surgery, you now have a much smaller stomach. And so to try to overwhelm just your anatomy sometimes can be a little sensitive.
Mhm.
And you don't want to, like you said, jump, and you want to make sure that you're staying hydrated. You're very deliberate and intentional with your fiber add, but I would definitely encourage them to do that,
Mhm.
as you're saying as well. So you already gave us some great examples of things that you would put on your shopping list, but can you kind of rapid fire through if some things that you can just like list off here? And by the way, you guys, we have this on a blog. She just wrote this really all comprehensive fiber guide on bodybybariatrics.com that really has a lot of this. But can you tell us just, all right, give me some examples of things you would throw into your cart?
So again, the bean aisle, grab whichever kind you want. And there's like so many different ways to incorporate that. You can add white beans into pretty much anything. I just made like a stir fry meal last night, and it was already like one I just tossed in a pan, and I just opened a can of white beans, drained them, rinsed them, added them to there. So that's like an easy one. Lentils are also great. You can soak them, cook them, or you don't have to soak lentils. That's the great part about them. So you buy them dry, cook them, and then you can add them into like a red sauce. So if you're making like a pasta sauce or something like that with ground meat or turkey, just add lentils in there, and it almost kind of dissolves into the sauce. Almost, it doesn't, but it's gonna like not, your kids will eat it, stuff like that. Again, I do think that like chia seeds or ground flax is another great option. You do want to make sure it's ground. Our body can't utilize it if it's whole seeds. So
Mm.
get ground flax. Those are great. Add them into yogurt, smoothies, um, really anywhere you can sprinkle flaxseed onto a salad. You won't even notice that it's there. So those are great. You can make like chia seed pudding. Um, avocado. Avocado's a great option. So some little sneaky ones. Like I said, berries are going to be always my go-to choice when it comes to fruit, but that's also just because of my preference. But you could do like a berry smoothie. That'd be a great way. Add some chia seeds in there, and it's like a double whammy. You could do really any fruit. Like I said, pears are a great one.
Mm.
Because they pears are good because they have this other uh I don't know if it's an enzyme, but it helps with constipation itself. So it's like a separate thing that will help you go to the bathroom if you are having a problem.
Love it. Such a
Yeah.
great, so many great
There's
examples. And
there's a really good link, and I'll make sure that we like link it into from the USDA that is that tells you the fiber per serving of these different foods. Which that brings me to something else. When we're talking about this, like you may or may not be able to eat an entire serving of these foods too.
yeah,
So don't let that worry you if you're like, well, I can't eat a half a cup of beans plus my meal. Like you might only be able to eat a couple bites of it, but that's fine. Like add that in, it all counts. So,
absolutely.
and
So
go ahead.
you go ahead. I don't want to stop you. You're like on this fiber roll, and I'm
Fiber
just
roll,
like
yeah.
just taking it in.
You're here for the ride. So the thing too that really helps with is going to be like you mentioned that gut microbiome.
Yeah.
And so you'll hear the term like prebiotic, like with probiotics old news. Everybody knows about probiotics. Prebiotics are the new thing. Fiber is essentially like a prebiotic. And so what it does is it provides like this food source for the good gut bacteria. And so that's another thing that as you add this in can cause some of this upset. You might get like things might get kind of stinky. You might get some bloating, and those are good signs though. It means that that good bacteria is feeding in. And so I kind of feel like too, especially if you're somebody who has like recently had antibiotics, or you just feel like your gut is just like you don't do a lot of maybe fermented food, you're not getting a lot of those types of things. Maybe adding in a probiotic supplement as well to get you started. And then you probably can stop it because once you start kind of feeding that gut bacteria, it can help to kind of proliferate inside you. But maybe adding in like a probiotic as you start your fiber journey as well. Maybe start one and then the other, but just so you can meet out which one is causing any issues. But that way we're able to feed that good gut bacteria as well.
I mean, if you're not running and racing over to the store to get your fiber, I don't know what is going to convince you.
Oh,
And yeah, right? I mean, bring on the
well,
pears.
yeah, there you go. I don't like pears, unfortunately. I'm
Oh God,
so
I love
particular
pears.
about fruit. So, like, I'm the worst person to ask if this is like, does this taste? I'm like, I don't know. I don't like it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love fruit, but I am so lazy. I never buy it, wash it, cut it, and so I don't eat it. And
See,
whenever I go on vacation, I do. And
you
that's
eat
it.
it. See, I'm so jealous because like my husband loves fruit, loves fruit, all kinds. So does my daughter. And I'm just like, it'd be so nice just to be able to grab an apple and
Yeah.
like just eat it, which he does. Or I bought plums and he just eating plums. And
Really?
I'm like, for
Wow.
me, you're right. Like I have to wash the
Too much work.
berries. They're gonna go bad in my refrigerator. I'll do the frozen ones because I'll make a smoothie, but like or in my yogurt. But no, it's too much work. You're right.
Is so much. But yeah, when I go on vacation, I'm always like, what is it about this warm tropical breeze that's getting me so regular? Like, no. Well, first, you're probably allowing yourself to relax. And
Yeah.
second, you are eating fruit, like you're eating
Yeah.
fiber.
You're
I
eating
think I go
all
from
this.
0 to like 50 grams in a day.
Probably. Yeah. I find that with myself too. Like I haven't been tracking my fiber intake, but I do feel like I probably have big variable shifts and it doesn't seem to bother me. So, when we say all of that, it's like, well, do what works for you. I mean, I'm not going to stop you, but just know if you do increase really quickly, for most people, it's going to like some issues. Um,
Exactly.
Other things that are really beneficial with fiber. So our heart health is another really
Yeah.
important thing. I mean, first of all, because one is we know that a lot of times weight loss will help with heart health. So, like, secondary benefit of weight loss is also that. So, fiber helps with weight loss, helps with heart health, blah, 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 all that. But it also is going to really help with our cholesterol levels. So, like I said, that soluble fiber actually binds to cholesterol and helps to kind of grab it from your system and eliminate it in that stool. So you can just like really help with cholesterol. So if you're seeing a lot of like high cholesterol, high HDL levels, like let's get
Hmm.
that fiber going. Let's increase that. We see that a lot, I would say, for people when they get their labs done at 6 months post bariatric surgery. I'll see them sometimes. Amber, our PA, will see them, and then she'll have them see me afterwards, and I'll peek at their labs. And a lot of times, I'm seeing that like higher HDL level at that point. Again, you're focused so much on like meat and protein that you're
Yeah.
getting this like high saturated fat diet. So that's a time to really start to kind of implement some fiber in the diet. There's also studies that really show that a high fiber diet helps with blood pressure and reducing risk of stroke, which is always important, and then also just reducing inflammation overall. So obviously from a cardiovascular perspective, that's important, but like maybe it's going to help with our youth and looking beautiful. It's like, let's reduce our inflammation everywhere.
Let's do it. I mean, I think we should do a fiber challenge, and I think we should all do it. Like you said, I think the first step to improve ourselves, we must know ourselves, and that is just to figure out like how many grams do we think we're currently eating. Like
Mhm.
go back to if it has a label, read the label. How many are in this? And that's also part of what do you think about, calculating the net carbs, looking at the total
Yeah.
carbs, subtracting sugar, alcohols, but also subtracting fiber? Why is that? Do you know why that's
Yeah.
part of that equation?
So from what I kind of get from it is that because fiber is not, like I said at the beginning, it's kind of not being fully broken down and digested like other types of carbs are, is that it's not really providing a calorie, and it's not raising the blood sugar like another type of carbohydrate would. And so when we can kind of like take that out of the equation, we can subtract that out. And so we use it in our practice. We do have people. I know that there's other bariatric dietitians, other bariatric surgeon, other practices that don't use the net carbs because what I would say is it's probably not the most studied thing in the world. So it's kind of like, what do we use it? Where I find that I think why I like that we do it is because ultimately people might be getting the same number of carbs, but it's encouraging our patients to get more fiber
Mm,
because they're trying to keep that net carb low versus somebody else who might just get 75 grams of carb, but the fiber isn't kind of counted in there. Like we might be getting kind of two different things. So while ultimately, great, you're going to still eat more carbohydrates. Um, we're doing the net, so you're gonna aim for those higher fiber foods to really hit that target, I would say. So it's kind of like a little tricky way to push the fiber,
I mean, I
game the
love that
system.
idea. So
Yeah.
let's game it. So the first thing, all right, how much fiber am I actually getting? The second
Mhm.
thing, drill down even more. Let's look at the overall day. First, making sure, big time thing for weight loss, I think, is making sure you're eating at least three
Mhm.
meals a day, not skipping meals, and then looking at your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, and maybe even snacks, and seeing of these which meal seems to be low in fiber. Like, where
Yeah.
are my best opportunities to now increase the fiber realistically on something that I'm going to stay consistent with and I'm going
Yeah.
to actually continue to do?
Yeah, and actually I think an easy place that a lot of people struggle with in general, just to think of things, is breakfast. So it's normally kind of our hardest meal to think about adding protein or adding like, usually most people aren't eating a lot of vegetables in the morning, fine, whatever. But maybe that's a place where we can add some of these kind of food adjacent types of things like I've talked about the chia seeds or the ground flax. Like you could make an overnight chia pudding or something that's going to sit in the fridge. So in the morning you're running out and you can grab that and go. It's already made for you, or you're doing like a high protein smoothie with fruit and some stuff added to it. So I think that's an easy place to add. Again, look at your meals. Is there a place that I can add a bean or a legume to this?
Yes.
Do it. The great thing too with those, they're so cheap. Like beans are so inexpensive and they add some protein. So benefit there. You can get a little protein from those too. So
Absolutely. I love a good bean too.
yeah,
I'm
just
obsessed.
bean
And
salads.
there you
Great
go.
option.
I know you had that picture that you just had. That looks so good.
I
The
know.
picture
Oh
describing
yeah.
this fiber stuff. I
Yes,
noticed that.
on my on oh yeah, it was briefly on the blog. I took it off. Um, something else that all of this is going to do is to help with blood sugar management. So I kind of touched on that before, but when we're thinking about, you reposted it recently, our reel of us saying PFF, protein, fat, and
Yeah.
fiber. And so that combination really does help with satiety and fullness, but it helps with the blood sugar management as well. So fiber is going to help everybody is going to have a blood sugar spike after they eat. So like don't be afraid if you ever check your blood sugar and it's higher after you eat than it was before. That's the normal response. What we want to prevent is very high peaks and very high spikes for two reasons. One, that we don't want high levels of circulating blood sugar of sugar in our blood, but also
Mhm.
for a lot of people that causes a crash. And then it
Mm.
causes that crash causes that craving that you want to eat more. And so it's this like cycle that you end up in. So we want to temper that. And so fiber is one of those things that really helps to slow that blood sugar rise down and keep it. It slows it down and it keeps it generally lower and gives you this better like smoother response overall. So that's just another one of those like benefits of fiber to throw in there.
I mean, I'm serious. I'm going to do this challenge. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to look where my areas are. And then when you reincorporate it, like you gave us a ton of great examples, You got to make sure you also are staying very, very, very hydrated with it as well.
Yeah.
And then maybe journal or, jot it down or put in your notes or just take mental note. Just be more kind of like, again, deliberate about your thoughts on, am I hungry? Am I feeling cravings as much? Am I full and satisfied after I eat? How long until I kind of start getting that kind of hunger growling in my stomach
Mhm.
sensation going again?
Yeah, that's definitely one. And from a weight loss perspective, I think one of the really big benefits is it is just so satiating. And what I hear is sometimes when people follow up with us again, months out, even a year, 2 years out from surgery, is just like, I just feel hungry all the time. And,
Yeah.
I think that there's two causes for that. Sometimes I think, especially early on, I think people generally undereat because they don't know their limits. They feel like they should themselves to death. They should only eat 2 ounces at a time, which I don't know whoever told them that because it wasn't me. But that they should only eat a certain amount. So that's the first thing is like eating until you're satisfied. But also, is it a very low fiber meal? Is it just not have like any kind of bulk to it that is going to keep you full, like to keep that satisfaction factor for longer? Um, or is it something that's going to kind of transit through quickly and then you're going to feel hungry in an hour? I mean, it's normal to feel hungry a few hours after you eat, and I think that
Yeah.
that's something else is people think that they should never feel hungry, or just because I ate breakfast at 8 that by 2 p.m., God forbid, you're hungry. Like, no, you're probably gonna feel hungry around noon. Um, but if we can kind of keep it for those 3 to 4 hours, I would say that would be where we would start to see like that's kind of the normal pattern.
I agree. I think that fiber is a secret weapon that is, like you said, protein, fat, and fiber keeps you full,
Hmm.
and you need to reincorporate it, especially if you're stuck or you're feeling hunger and you're getting that kind of food noise, those obsessive thoughts about like, oh, I need something. You just might
Hmm.
need to fill yourself up in a different way, and fiber might be just that
Yeah.
secret nutrient.
Yep.
All right, I want to do a rapid fire with you.
Okay.
And we're gonna go fast and furiously here. Does coffee have fiber in it?
I was looking that up the other day. I need to research it. I'll come back to you on that one.
Okay. Does an avocado have
Yes.
fiber? Popcorn.
Popcorn does because it's a whole grain.
Okay. Potatoes.
Yes, especially white potatoes with the skin. Sweet potatoes without the skin have a good amount of fiber in them.
Fascinating. Does peeling the fruit increase or reduce fiber, would you say, taking that skin off?
Yeah, it's like an apple would, a pear would, something that you wouldn't eat the skin. Now, I wouldn't recommend eating like an orange peel.
No, I would definitely be taking that bad boy off. I
Yes.
would not be that lazy. That one would go in the trash. So beans, are they a carb? Are they a protein? Are they a fiber? Are they all of the above? What the hell with these beans?
I call them a fiber source more than anything, and then they're going to give you a little bit of benefit of some protein and some other carbs.
Okay. So the chia seeds, you have referenced them several times. Do you
Yeah.
believe that they are truly worth the hype?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Flaxseed, whole or ground. You covered
Ground.
that. Um, so you're saying oatmeal is actually good for you.
Oatmeal is a tricky one because it's still going to be very high in carbohydrates. So it really depends on where you are, what your goals are, but it has some other benefits of the type of fiber that it offers that can help like with heart health.
Okay. Uh, do you feel like fiber gummies are just as good as getting fiber from vegetables?
Never.
I know. And do you think that fiber supplements actually work?
I do. Which so maybe the gummies are fine. I feel like I'm biased against gummies.
I feel like I'm biased against anything that's not just getting it from food, no matter what it
Yeah.
is. Like
Yeah.
even protein shakes, we've gone on with, we've spoken our piece about those many,
Yeah.
many times. If you can get it from a food source, get it from a food source always.
Yes.
I think I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
For sure. Um, I can answer this one. Do I need fiber every day? Yes, Queen, you do. Of course you do. Can bariatric patients take psyllium?
Psyllium husk. Yeah. So that's going to be like a type of one of the supplements. I want to say Benefiber maybe is psyllium husk. Or there's I always just reference those two, Metamucil and Benefiber, but there's like thousands probably of these things on the market. So And then I have seen people using that as like a food product. I haven't tried that.
All right. Now, if you had to pick one single favorite, only can have one, what is your personal favorite high fiber food? Your personal favorite. You can only have one,
Oh my God.
and you have to get that fiber in. We know that.
Let's say beans.
I, I, I
Collard
kind of,
beans.
I just feel like
It was
beans
that
is your MVP.
or out of left field avocado because like I
Ooh,
do love
yes.
avocado. But
I
there's
love
only
that
so much
too.
you can do with it.
That's
The
true.
versatility of beans is really what gets the
Yeah, you can
winner.
hide them and put them in all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Now you're need to finish the sentence. Fiber is that girl because
She fills you up and makes you look good.
okay, that I mean that's what we want from
That's
everything.
it.
There we go.
It's
So
all
I think
vanity.
it's all about vanity. We all want to
Yeah.
look good, and that's why if you're here to the bitter end talking about fiber, you're gonna be one sexy biatch after this episode.
Uh-huh.
So remember, protein first still. Our stomachs are
Yes.
small. We need to make sure that we're getting that. Don't skip meals. Your fiber does matter though, and hydration always. So hydration is always has to be the
Always.
mix.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're gonna have some GI tract
Yeah.
issues, and we want that.
We don't want to see you, having to get disimpacted
No,
as you
I don't want that for
go
you.
slow. Go slow.
Go slow. You got this. Well, Hannah, I honest to God learned a lot. I did. I
I'm
learned a
glad.
lot of different things. You always have so many very creative examples
You
of
never
ways
know
to
what's in this
incorporate
little
this.
head.
I'm always surprised. I mean, like I know I say this all the time on this podcast. I'm like, oh wow, she knows so much about some random thing like fiber. I knew really honestly not much of anything before coming into this conversation,
Yeah.
but I can assure you that I'm going to be a much better follower of all fiber intake, and I'm going to incorporate it much more into my own personal life.
Good. I hope so. Me too. Honestly, I talk about it a lot, and then I realize like, oh, you need to like do it. And then I feel like that's when I'm like, oh, great. Then that day I had 40 grams. Um, so if you are listening to the bitter end and you are super special because text us at our texting line, uh five 407 and I will send you a very special 3-day high fiber meal plan. If you
Oh,
use the words "I'm super special" and I listen to the whole podcast, please send me the plan or something
oh
to that
gosh,
effect. That's
I
quite a
love
long
it.
secret code word, but text us and I'll send that over to you.
Don't worry if I slip into your DMs there,
Yeah,
Hannah.
right. I
I'm
can
gonna
just
do
send
it.
it to you.
I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna do it. We're
Yeah.
doing this thing. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. This was super
Yeah.
interesting. Take us out. Have people follow us.
Follow us on Instagram at the Weight Loss Collab, at Body by Bariatrics, at Dr. Dovec, at hannahschuyler.rd. We're on YouTube. We're on all your platforms. Give us a like, a follow, a 5-star review. We need some love, guys. But this was great. We're excited to really bring back some of our episodes and listen to some things again. And, always send us your ideas or requests for topics. We're happy to do that as well. But we'll see you next
Excellent.
time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.